It was an ordinary Tuesday afternoon in June 2014 in the quiet suburb of Maple Grove, Minnesota. 7-year-old Emma was playing on the swings at Riverside Park while her mother, Sarah Mitchell, sat on a nearby bench. Sarah glanced at her phone for just 30 seconds to reply to a work email. When she looked up, Emma was gone. The playground was empty. Sarah's screams echoed through the park as she ran frantically, searching behind every tree, every slide, every corner. But Emma had vanished without a trace. The police arrived within minutes. Search parties combed through the neighborhood for days. Helicopters circled overhead. Emma's face appeared on every news channel, every social media platform, every missing children's website. Amber alerts went out across 3 states. But weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. No leads, no sightings, nothing. Sarah's marriage to David couldn't survive the grief. They divorced 2 years after Emma disappeared. Sarah fell into a deep depression, unable to work, unable to function. She attended support groups for parents of missing children, where she met others trapped in the same nightmare. But unlike some who eventually accepted they might never know, Sarah refused to give up. She kept Emma's room exactly as it was. The pink comforter with butterflies. The stuffed rabbit named Mr. Hops on the pillow. The growth chart on the wall, frozen at 3 feet 2 inches. Every year on Emma's birthday, Sarah would bake a chocolate cake, her daughter's favorite, and sit alone in that untouched bedroom, singing happy birthday to an empty room. By the time 10 years had passed, Sarah was 43 years old. She had moved from Minnesota to Portland, Oregon, trying to escape the memories that haunted every street corner of her old life. She found work as a stock clerk at a Safeway supermarket on Southeast Powell Boulevard. The job was simple, mindless, and that's exactly what she needed. The routine kept her going. Her co-workers knew her as quiet, kind, but distant. They didn't know her story. She preferred it that way. It was a Friday afternoon, October 15, 2024. The store was moderately busy with the usual after-work crowd. Sarah was in aisle 7, the health and beauty section, restocking bottles of shampoo and conditioner. She had done this task hundreds of times. Her hands moved automatically, placing products on shelves while her mind drifted to that same painful place it always went. At exactly 4:37 p.m., a voice behind her said, "Excuse me, do you know where I can find children's shampoo?" Sarah turned around, ready to give her standard helpful response, but the words died in her throat. Standing before her was a teenage girl, approximately 17 years old. She had long auburn hair, pulled back in a ponytail. She wore jeans, a college hoodie from Portland State University, and carried a shopping basket. But it wasn't her clothes that made Sarah's heart stop. It was her eyes. Those eyes. Green with golden flecks, almond-shaped, with the same slight upturn at the outer corners. And there, just visible above the collar of her hoodie, was a birthmark on her neck, shaped like a crescent moon. Sarah's clipboard clattered to the floor, her vision blurred with tears. Her legs felt like they might give out beneath her. "Emma." The word came out as a choked whisper. The girl took a step back, her eyebrows furrowing in confusion. "I'm sorry. What? How do you know my name?" Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. She was trembling violently now. Other shoppers were starting to glance their way. You have a scar on your right knee, from when you fell off your bike when you were 5 years old. You were trying to ride without training wheels and you scraped it on the concrete." The color drained from the girl's face. Slowly, hesitantly, she reached down and pulled up the right leg of her jeans. There, on her knee, was a faded white scar, about 2 inches long. "How could you possibly know that?" the girl whispered, her voice shaking. Sarah couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down her face. "Because I'm your mother. Because I was there when you fell. Because I held you while you cried and put a band-aid with little stars on it over that scrape. Because I've been looking for you every single day for the past 10 years. The girl, Emma, stumbled backward, hitting a display of hairbrushes. They clattered to the floor. No, that's not possible. My mom, ... She's my mom. She adopted me legally. She told me my birth mother didn't want me. That she gave me up. I never gave you up." Sarah's scream echoed through the entire supermarket. Shoppers stopped in their tracks. A store manager started hurrying toward them. "You were taken from me. You were playing at Riverside Park in Maple Grove, Minnesota, and someone stole you from me. I have searched for you every single day. I have never stopped looking." Sarah pulled out her phone with shaking hands and opened her photo gallery. Years of images, missing person posters with Emma's age-progressed photos, news articles, and then the older photos. Emma as a baby, Emma's first birthday, Emma on her first day of kindergarten, Emma on those swings at Riverside Park, the last photo Sarah had taken of her daughter, just hours before she disappeared. Emma stared at the screen, her own hands trembling as she took the phone. She scrolled through image after image, and slowly, something began to crack open in her memory. Fragments of another life, a yellow kitchen, a woman who looked like this stranger, but younger, singing while making pancakes, a stuffed rabbit, the smell of a perfume she couldn't quite place. "I remember," Emma whispered, tears now streaming down her own face. "I remember a yellow kitchen, and ... and a song. You used to sing a song about sunshine. Sarah's voice broke as she sang softly, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray." Emma's legs gave out. She sat down right there on the supermarket floor, surrounded by fallen hairbrushes, and sobbed. "You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away." She remembered after 10 years. She remembered the store manager called the police. Within 20 minutes, Portland police officers arrived at the scene. Sarah and Emma were taken to the police station, where Sarah provided documentation: Emma's original birth certificate, missing person reports, photos spanning 7 years before Emma's disappearance. Emma was living in a small apartment in northeast Portland with a woman named Rebecca Marsh, who had always presented herself as Emma's adoptive mother. When police went to the address, Rebecca initially denied everything. But when confronted with DNA testing and the overwhelming evidence, her story began to fall apart. Rebecca Marsh had lost her own daughter, also named Emily, to leukemia 12 years earlier. The grief had broken something fundamental inside her. She became obsessed with the idea of having her daughter back. She attended grief counseling, but privately her mental state deteriorated.
Rebecca drove immediately to Portland, a city she had visited often and where no one knew her history. She dyed Emma's hair darker, changed her name slightly, and created forged adoption documents through connections with underground document forgers. She homeschooled Emma for the first 3 years, keeping her isolated from anyone who might ask questions. By the time Emma was old enough to attend regular school, Rebecca had successfully conditioned her to believe the fabricated story that Sarah hadn't wanted her, that Rebecca had rescued her through legal adoption. Rebecca was arrested and charged with kidnapping, child abduction, identity fraud, and multiple other felonies. The case made national news. The shocking reunion in aisle 7 of a Portland supermarket became a viral story covered by every major news outlet. But for Sarah and Emma, the media attention was secondary to the complicated reality they now faced. Emma was 17 years old. For 10 years, she had called another woman Mum. Despite learning the truth about Rebecca's crimes, Emma had complex feelings. Rebecca had been kind to her, had celebrated her birthdays, had helped her with homework, had been her only family. The betrayal was devastating, but so was the loss of the only mother figure she had known for most of her life. Sarah understood this. She had waited 10 years. She could be patient now. They started slowly. Coffee once a week at a small cafe on Hawthorne Boulevard. Sarah brought photo albums and told stories about Emma's first words, about how she would only eat macaroni and cheese shaped like dinosaurs, about her obsession with butterflies, about the day she was born, and how Sarah had known from that very first moment that Emma was the greatest gift of her life. Emma listened, sometimes crying, sometimes smiling at stories that felt both foreign and somehow familiar. about morning coffees and late-night conversations, about Emma teaching Sarah how to use Instagram, and Sarah teaching Emma her grandmother's recipe for chocolate chip cookies, about the first time Emma called Sarah Mum without hesitation, about healing, slowly but surely. The story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, when hope seems impossible, miracles can still happen. They can happen in the most ordinary places. In a supermarket aisle on a Friday afternoon, when we least expect it but need it most. Sarah Mitchell never stopped believing she would find her daughter. And on October 15, 2024, in aisle 7 of a Portland supermarket, that faith was finally rewarded. 10 years of searching, 1 moment of recognition, a lifetime of healing ahead. This is the story of a mother who never gave up, and a daughter who came home.